Hey sunshine! I'm Cady and you're watching Dark Sunlight, where we plan, create, and live with love. I hope you're all doing well and appropriately staying home and social distancing and all that. All this home time has given me lots of time to plan and rethink my bullet journal setup for this month. So I've got some cool new spreads I'm going to try, but first let's take a look at how April's going so far. First we had my quote and monthly log, then my health, habit, and mood trackers, my favorites and memories, and then my weekly spreads, where I tried out a Dutch door layout for the first time by trimming the edges off the pages. So we have the first week, second week, the third, and finally the fourth. And now let's flip to a clean page and start setting up May. You can find any and all supplies I use in this video in the kit link in the description below. Let's get into it. This month we're into Taurus season, so I chose to use their color, green, as the main color in all these spreads. And then of course used black as well and a gold gel pen for little details throughout. To make the title for this page, I created some basic cursive writing but used both ends of my bright green Tombow marker to give it the thick and thin contrast in the lines. Then I took my darker green Tombow marker and swapped between the two to create a dark gradient effect from the bottom of each letter. When that was done, I used my fineliners to draw a black box behind the letters, sort of cutting it off halfway through, outlined around the letters, and filled it all in with black. To clean it all up, I used my gold gel pen to outline the letters. As a final touch, I used my white gel pen to add a little line and dot highlight to the left side of each letter. For the calendar part of the monthly page, I decided to keep the same simple setup that I had used last month. There's just less events and things to track lately, so I don't feel the need to have a big calendar that spans the entire spread. One thing I found super satisfying is that if you start your weeks on Monday instead of Sunday like I do, then the month ends perfectly on a Sunday and you get a full row. I don't know why things like that make me happy, but they do. I want to take a second to recognize my newest patrons, Jamie and Sarah. Welcome to the team. I'm incredibly grateful for your support, and I hope you love the bonus content and printables. If you want to see your name in the credits of every video, come join the team over on Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description below. One struggle I had throughout this setup, and I'm not sure if you'll notice, but I had started using a new white gel pen, and it's a bit thicker than the one I normally use. It's a 0.8 instead of a 0.5, and it made it harder to write in small spaces, like the circles I drew for the dates at the bottom of the page. So my numbers look a little funky, but I did my best. Since I decided to keep my monthly tracker to one page again, it left me with the left side page to create a quote or cover. It took me some time to choose a quote, but eventually I landed on this one. When faced with a challenge, look for a way, not a way out. I think it does well to both embody the persevering spirit of Taurus while also inspiring a little hope for dealing with our current challenges. Once I had the quote sketched out and the layout planned, I outlined the whole page with bright green and then black. Then I just started tracing over my sketch with my fineliners and adding little details. I turned the first two words into a sort of slab serif font by adding tiny straight strokes to the ends of the lines in each letter. For the word challenge, I created that faux brush lettering look by, again, using my regular cursive writing but swapping between the fine point and brush end of the Tombow to create those thick and thin strokes. Someday I'll learn how to properly brush letter, but until that time, I find this is an easy trick for getting that look. For the rest of the text, I swapped between that slab serif font, faux brush lettering, my regular printing, and my regular cursive writing, until the last word, out. I wanted to emphasize it by making it a bold block letter style. Underneath the quote, I created that fused symbol style again by combining the glyph for Taurus with the symbol for the element of earth. I traced it first in black pen and then traced just the lines that make the Taurus glyph in gold gel pen. Then, while I was waiting for the gel pen to dry, I went back to my quote and used my green mild liner to add some shadows and color to some of the text, and outline the brush lettering with a black pen. Once I was certain the Taurus glyph was dry, I colored in the center part of the triangle that was contained in the circle with the bright green. I colored the parts of the circle outside the triangle with dark green, and I colored the tips of the triangle that extend beyond the circle with the green mild liner. On this next page, I decided to completely change up my regular faves and memories spread. I hate to say this, but I was just not feeling motivated to fill it out. Normally I fill it with social events, like memories of hanging out with my friends on my balcony or celebrating someone's birthday at a fun new restaurant. Of course, I could totally fill it with memories of snuggling up and watching a movie too, but for some reason that was just making me feel a bit sad. On top of that, I'm also feeling overwhelmed by my health trackers this month because, of course, my step count is way down and my sleep schedule has been a bit out of whack too. It's just not giving me the great vibes and motivation when I go to fill it in each day that it normally would. So I decided to scrap all that, mash some bits back together, and add a gratitude keeper. So for this one, on the left side, I added the dates and days down the page and a circle next to each day. I made sure to color the weekends with the darker green and weekdays with green mild liner, just to make it easier to see where we are in the month at a quick glance. I added a key to the bottom of the page because my mood won't be tracked as a scale like it normally would. I'll just be using little smiley face icons. And I thought that might not be entirely clear either, so I also used my 3 green colors to outline the moods. Darkest green for the 2 darkest moods, green mild liner for the middle moods, and bright green for the happiest moods. That way, even if my new white gel pen turns my smileys into blobs, at least I can quickly see where on the scale I was feeling that day. I also used my sand color Tombow to highlight every second row. Zebra striping like this just makes it easier for your eyes to follow the line and see the date on the far left so you know you're writing in the right place. Plus, I find it looks cute and makes the page look a bit more finished and put together. On the right side page, I wanted a way to keep track of what media I'm enjoying this month. Without being able to go out, I've been watching a lot more shows, listening to a lot more audiobooks, and even trying gaming for the first time. So I thought it would be fun to list all of that. I also remembered on this page that I wanted to do the title a little bit differently. I had forgotten to do it this way for the mood and gratitude page though. The only difference is that I wrote the overlapping word before I added any gradient color to the green letters, so when I went to add in the dark green shading at the bottom, I stopped it when it got to the overlapping word. This way, the top half of the letters remains very bright green and almost looks like the overlapping word is casting a shadow on the bottom half of the letters. Then I still used my white gel pen to make it pop, but focused on the top half of the letters instead of outlining around the entire thing. It's only a slight difference, but it's still fun to play around with the styles of lettering to see what different types of looks you can create. If you want more help with lettering ideas, be sure to check out my last video. So the way I decided to track my media was to use a running list. I chose 6 categories to track: shows, movies, podcasts, books, audiobooks, and games. I'll use this list by adding the title of the thing I watched or read to the list on the right side and marking a dot under whichever category it was a part of. I just thought this tracker would be a nice way to celebrate the fact that maybe I'm spending more time enjoying books and shows instead of feeling guilty for binge watching so much Netflix. I'm really excited for this next spread. This will be a productivity level board. I originally saw this setup done by Jashi Corinne and loved the idea and saw that she had given credit to the Boosted Journal for the idea. So I went to check out that video and was blown away by the thought process that went into designing this spread. I couldn't wait to try it out because I thought it could solve some issues I was having with feeling unproductive. For example, do you ever plan to do something one day, say the laundry, and you add it to your task list, but then you don't get to it, but you did do like 10 other things that weren't on your list? When you look back at your list, you'll see that laundry never got checked off, and you may feel as if you didn't accomplish anything that day. But actually, maybe it was just because you got inspired to do those other things, and the laundry could easily wait for one day. This spread addresses that issue while also gamifying your productivity. You start by coming up with a list of tasks that make you feel productive. I broke mine into 3 categories of work or dark sunlight, home, and personal. Then create an icon to represent each task. It could be as simple as letters if that works for you too. I created a Dutch door to write the key in the center of the spread to remember what task goes with which icon. Then the way to use it is, before your day starts, add the icons representing what you want to accomplish that day into the plan column on the far right of the row. As you complete tasks, add icons starting from the left into the row for the day. The levels are just a way to motivate you to complete more tasks to get to the next level, or level up. What I'm hoping to see over time is both how I'm able to match what my plans are and also start understanding that pushing one task back to do something else, like clean the house, is still productive. I mean, there's still a limit to that too. You don't want to do what I call productive procrastination either, where you're avoiding a task by doing something else that's kind of useful. But sometimes, I guess, more so for people now, we have a bit more flexibility, so if a task gets shuffled to another day but is still completed, that's good to know. Maybe I'll even find patterns such as on Mondays I seem to be really good at jumping into editing work, but by Friday I'm kind of burnt out and would rather work on photos or branding work, things that I deem more fun. It will hopefully be a good exercise and will allow me to be a bit more gentle with myself in terms of always needing to feel productive. If you're looking for a much more in-depth explanation of exactly how to use this spread and how it all works, be sure to check out the Boosted Journals video. Finally, it's time to set up the weekly spreads. I actually ended up loving the Dutch door style that I used in my April setup, so I thought I'd recreate that this month, but this time I'm also going to add a habit tracker to the left-hand side. These habits are separate from the productivity level board tasks because these are things I'd honestly like to do every single day if possible, as opposed to tasks that happen every couple days or once a week. The habits I'll be tracking here are taking my vitamins, doing my skincare in both the morning and the evening, and journaling. I just bought a brand new journal that I'm excited to start using. Of course, a lot of people journal right inside their bullet journals as well, but since I show all of my bullet journal to the internet, I thought it perhaps best to have a separate book for that. It also allows me to save pages in my bullet journal, which is a bit pricier, so hopefully I won't need to buy a new one mid-year. I kept the actual events and tasks part of the weekly incredibly simple because I want to be able to set it up quickly at the beginning of each week. The titles at the top are just a wash of color using my regular writing pen to write the text in cursive. The title of each day is made by printing the day with the light green mild liner, then writing again on top of it with my black fine point, and then writing the date next to it with the dark green Tombow marker. It honestly takes 2 seconds, but I think it looks put together and cute. Now for the longest part of the setup. But this is why I really appreciate this Dutch door spread. It allows me to spend time adding beautiful illustrations to my bullet journal that I can enjoy throughout the month without having to redraw everything every week. I don't have a lot of reason why I chose to draw wild roses, I just thought they looked pretty and I wanted to. I also thought the vine aspect of it would fit well into the narrow space I was working with. So for this drawing, I used a reference image and first sketched it out with my mechanical pencil. When that was done, I traced it all with my 0.3 fine liner and erased the pencil marks. Then it was just a matter of going in with my 0.05 pen and adding all the little lines to add form and shading to the flowers and leaves. So here's the final flip through. And don't forget that I have a free printable version of this setup available for my patrons to print and use in their own journals. I also created a desktop and phone background of the quote page. So be sure to check out my Patreon to get your hands on those. The link will be in the description below. I hope I've done my Taurus Sunshines proud with this setup. Let me know in the comments if you're a Taurus so I can wish you a happy birthday. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.